Good afternoon. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. It is Thursday ahead of the big game in Las Vegas. Thanks for tuning into the show. I'm Craig Mish. We got a great show in store for you. Coming up, we get to the very latest from the big game from Las Vegas. Dana Hughes is going to join us, former football player, former baseball player. So certainly he and I are going to chop it up about his baseball days as well. Matt Lutovsky from Sporting News talks a little NBA. Today is the trade deadline. We've seen several trades in the NBA, including Buddy Hield headed to the Philadelphia 76ers, but I'll have the full rundown on that. Also, Sam McQuillan is our guest contributor of Legal Sports Report. Also going to play a couple of interviews from our great coverage out at Radio Row. For those of you who have been watching 24/7, the guys and girls doing a phenomenal job out there at Mandalay Bay and MGM. So make sure you stay tuned to that. 3 o'clock Eastern, Scott Farrell back on the air live from Las Vegas. Let's get to the latest from Vegas and the Super Bowl. Sky Moore, he's a go. It looks like he is 100% headed into the game, was placed on injured reserve, but going to play for the Chiefs coming up in the Super Bowl. Naturally, Moore has not been a big contributor, but it's always good to have an extra player, and that indeed will be the case with Moore. The NFLPA says 92% of the players in the league want grass over turf fields, and I'm sure that this is surrounding MetLife and the fact that they're going to be hosting the World Cup in 2026, more grass, less turf. I think that is the deal. The Packers have announced a search for a new CEO. Who's going to succeed Mark Murphy? He's been there a long time. He's going to retire in July. He turned 70 years old, and so they're certainly going to look for somebody there to carry the torch. Ron Wolf there previously as well. They've always had really good leadership in Green Bay. And also, is Rex Ryan headed back to the NFL? Could this be possible? He hasn't coached in the NFL since 2016. The Cowboys are interviewing Rex Ryan. How about that for their defensive coordinator position? A story I did not think we would be doing here on this show. All right, now let's get to the latest back from Las Vegas. For those of you who are unfamiliar with all of our coverage at Radio Row, all of the best celebrities and all of the great former and current NFL players do the rounds. They speak to all the media. Great player in the NFL at a very high level for the Seattle Seahawks for a long period of time, and also probably carried you to a fantasy football championship once upon a time. His name is Shaun Alexander. Remember him? Great running back. He caught up with our Joe Lisi and talked about the running backs in the Super Bowl.
You played at Seattle, right? You won an NFL MVP. Star season that year, right? You played on a Super Bowl team as well.
Yep.
We brought this up on our show as it relates in regards to the running back position.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a running back to win the Super Bowl MVP in the last 20 years. It's been 13 quarterbacks, 5 wide receivers, 2 defensive players.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? And can these both of these running backs, Isaiah Pacheco or Christian McCaffrey, take home the hardware Sunday?
Well, I think the game itself, running backs, only way that you really get the MVP is if you dominate the game. And the way coaches call plays, it's not built for the running back to dominate. So that kind of makes sense. I played on the team that they would give me the ball 20-some times, but we lost Super Bowl and only had 20 carries. So I think, more carries. You
feed the beast, right?
I think that's how it works. So most teams, they don't do it that way. It is possible because I know at least the 49ers, they have multiple ways to get Christian McCaffrey the ball. And so he's got a chance.
Prediction for the game. You're picking the Chiefs or San Francisco?
Man, I know I've gotten some great relationships with many other guys at the 49ers, but I usually do vote with my heart. But I feel like it's going to be so hard to beat that Kansas City defense. Their defense is really playing at a level that's unmatched. You got to go over to those great Bears, the Ravens. They're in those top 4 or 5 playoff teams ever.
Right.
And so if the Kansas City Chiefs are playing like that, they got Patrick Mahomes. They're going to find ways to score some points. And so I feel like Kansas City will win.
Seattle Seahawks great, Shaun Alexander.
All right, Shaun Alexander, once upon a time, was it 5 touchdowns in an NFL game? Michael and Frank, check that out. I think Shaun Alexander on a Sunday Night Football may have scored 5 times in an NFL game. It's crazy. All right, let's get to the latest in college football. Nick Saban joins ESPN. He's back in college football, going to be on TV this season. College Game Day was actually pretty good, I thought, in his debut. Unranked Michigan defeats number 11 Wisconsin in Ann Arbor, 72-68. College basketball upside down. I say it every day here on the show. You're bored of me saying it. Colorado and Deion Sanders, they expect to hire Rob Livingston as their defensive coordinator. Primetime, 0 issues on offense with the Buffaloes and a lot of issues on defense this past season. Maybe that'll get fixed. And Ohio State's head coach Ryan Day confirms he's not going to call the plays on offense next season. Although his status of his handpicked successor, Bill O'Brien, will be determined in the coming days. All right, now, NBA trade deadline, it is 12 o'clock Eastern. Generally speaking, we do not see this kind of activity this early. Usually it comes in a flurry late, but we've already gotten the flurry. So I wonder if this is the beginning or if this is the end. I really don't know. Trade deadlines are up in the air. Here are the ones we know about. The 76ers are acquiring Buddy Hield from the Indiana Pacers, Marcus Morris, another player involved, also 3 second-round picks. So right now, Hield's going to help the 76ers with their offense because Embiid is out. The Knicks are acquiring Alec Burks from the Detroit Pistons. The Knicks also get Bojan Bogdanovic in the deal. Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, 2 second-round picks go to Detroit. They're playing for the future next year and beyond. Oklahoma City acquires Gordon Hayward from the Charlotte Hornets. Trey Mann and Davis Bertans go to Charlotte in exchange there. Sorry, I'm reading. I got to do it. There's a lot of trades. The Toronto Raptors acquire Kelly Olynyk from the Utah Jazz, and the Wizards are sending Daniel Gafford to the Mavericks for Rashawn Holmes. Those are all the trades at the moment. Great news in golf. Tiger Woods is back. He's going to make his 2024 debut at the Genesis Invitational coming up next week. Netflix is back in the baseball game, creating a docuseries on the Boston Red Sox. They're going to follow him this season, and it's going to air next year. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. won his arbitration case against the Toronto Blue Jays. It's a $19.9 million win. So congratulations to Guerrero, who the Blue Jays were trying to pay $18.05. This is what happens in arbitration. They go back and forth. They don't agree. And an arbitrator ends up deciding. And really cool story in baseball as well. Cannon Smith-Njigba, and minor league outfielder, has been claimed by the Seattle Mariners. If his name sounds familiar, at least his last name, Jackson Smith-Njigba, of course, is a wide receiver on the Seattle Seahawks. So they're both going to be potentially playing in the same city, although Cannon Smith-Njigba, as a minor league baseball player, clearly would have to get called up to the big leagues in order to, really solidify that and make that happen. All right, so that's what we got here for our top stories in the headlines. But coming up next, we got a great guest from Las Vegas. Dana Hughes is going to join us in the house. Played in the NFL, covers the Chiefs. He does, the broadcasting for the Chiefs pre and post game. Color analyst as well for the Chiefs on TV and radio, also on the Big 10 network and ESPN. And also dipped his toe in Major League Baseball. So he's a great two-sport athlete like Bo Jackson, like Brian Jordan, like Deion Sanders. I got to ask about that because, as you know, baseball is my thing here on SportsGrid. So we're off and running here on this Thursday Super Bowl edition of NewsWire, and I hope you stick with us. We got a great show planned for you, and we'll be back right after these messages. Don't go away.